Welcome to Overtime of Inferno, your weekly roundup of all the biggest stories in CSGO, quicker than FaZe Stock dumps after their IEM Cologne win. A quick reminder, rate and review us at the end of the episode. It really helps us. I'm Logan. This is AZS. This is the second intro we've done, and we're here.
Don't tell them that. They don't need to know. As far as they know, we're one take people. We do this all in one take, no editing, nothing. We're just this good.
To be fair, we normally do.
Pretty much.
So we're back. Cologne happened. It was a banger grand final, unless your name is Elliot, in which that case, according to Twitter, you thought it was terrible.
Yeah, all best of fives. It's just bad, apparently. So this one must have been even worse because it went to all 5 maps. It must have been really bad. I had my eyes closed the whole time.
This was a banger. This was actually a banger. I watched the grand final, and then I left during map 2 to go play golf. And then on my way back from golf, the last map was going on. So I watched it in the car on my way back from golf. Terrible golf game.
You couldn't pay me to miss FaZe versus NAVI to play golf. You actually just couldn't.
To be fair, I had this golf reservation like 4 weeks ago. I was on vacation.
Lots of golf reservations. That's why I don't play it.
You know what? No, I had tea time like 4 weeks ago because reasons. But I got to watch Nuke, and then I watched the rest of the series like the next day. But Nuke was a banger, and I'm happy I caught everything that I did.
The only bits I missed the massive comeback on Ancient, because Harry Nero was like, it was like 14-3 at the time, and he said, either if we go get food now, either this is a boring map, it closes out, we'll be back for map 4, or we'll be back just in time for like the exciting bit of this map. And we got back and saw like two overtime rounds, basically. So,
I mean, he wasn't wrong. He wasn't.
It made some sense, but like, it took longer to eat than we thought.
Cologne happened. FaZe won. Congratulations to FaZe. It's their third bit of the Grand Slam. If the major was an IEM or ESL event, if Antwerp was an IEM or ESL event, FaZe actually would have their Grand Slam. They've got like 5 more tournaments to get the last one. One of those is including the major in Rio.
Yeah.
So FaZe have a little bit of time. They can absolutely get a Grand Slam win in here. I believe that would make Twist the first player ever to get 2 Grand Slams.
And he would do it on 2 different teams, which is
we would do it on 2 different teams. Yeah. Okay, so let's start with this bit. Twist is very loudly, like normally you'd say very quietly here. He's very loudly making his case for the best NA player of all time.
Oh yeah, comfortably. He already is, and there's not really any debate around it.
The other people we'd throw in there generally from North America would be maybe Stewie. You throw in there. I don't think anyone at this point. I don't think anyone could agree on that. People would throw Elysian there, which I think there is a argument to be had. I think it's an incorrect argument, but you could technically argue it.
You could defend it, but you would also lose.
Yeah, but once you get past that point, there's not really a huge amount of people. I mean, maybe you're saying Skadoodle or something like that, and you'd be wrong, but you may be able to make a defense for that.
I'm really sure. It's quite obviously Twist, right? Like, not only does Twist have probably the highest peak of any NA player, I think there have been points in time where Twist was like 3rd or 4th best player in the world.
Yeah, I think he's top 5 right now. Defendable. I think he's top 5 right now.
Spicy. I mean, based on Cologne, he was. Like, he was the best player in the event.
He was the best player in the event, unless you count Simple.
Simple Orps, though, that doesn't count.
Did you see the photo?
Yes, I did.
The photo.
Right, so I don't think, if you're going to call it MVP, I don't think it can go to a team who didn't win.
So for context, a couple of years ago at IEM New York, Team Liquid lost in the finals, and Twist was given the MVP medal. And it spawned one of the saddest MVP photos ever to be created. And since that point, there have been 2 more MVPs by the losing team. And Cologne had one, and it was Simple. And there's just a picture of Simple just depressed.
I just don't think it's a defendable position to say that Simple was more valuable than Twists.
I agree.
I don't think it's a defendable position. I think if you're gonna give it to Simple, you should rename the award to like player of the event or something, which obviously doesn't sound as good. But you can't be the most valuable player if you didn't win.
I think they have EVPs, which is like event valuable player or something like that. Or
it's basically like nominations for MVP is all it is. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
It should be like Twist was the most valuable player. He is the reason FaZe won. Ergo, he must be the most valuable player.
Yeah. Yeah. So FaZe NAVI was a banger. FaZe Stock, though, as a totally separate matter, because we found we were looking a little bit before this.
Logan wants to buy FaZe Stock. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with him. He wants to buy FaZe Stock.
Up again. So for a meme, I want to buy 1 stock of FaZe just to say I own FaZe. Okay, to be fair, I also own stock in the Williams Formula 1 team just to say I owned a Williams Formula 1 team. Just so I can say like I have 1 letter on George Russell's car when he drove for Williams.
I just don't. I don't trust myself to buy stocks in companies, but if I was going to, the last one I would invest in would be FaZe Clan because you are at any given point, FaZe are 1 week away from capitulation because they would either finally get arrested for the scams they've already committed, or they're going to do another one because they can't fucking resist. If it was just FaZe Clan, the CSGO team, that'd be fine. They're pretty reliable. Good team, good people. If it's FaZe Clan, the organization, you are not okay because these people are fucking awful.
Yeah. So basically, it started out and it's already dropped. According to Ryan, it's dropped like 30% already. I just don't know how to do percentages. I'm looking at the thing. It's dropped like 28% right now.
You don't know how to do percentages.
No, I do, but I don't know how to do percentages of $13 on the top of my head.
Okay, it's reasonable.
Yeah, so FaZe win Cologne. FaZe win Public. It's go down. Just a reminder that we have 0 financial advice and like no financial training, so please don't take our advice.
That'll save us. I mean, I've already told you not to invest in FaZe, so and you've said invest in FaZe. So if it is financial advice, there are we're on a seesaw anyway. Like we've given both sides of the argument.
That's a good point.
We're not in trouble.
All right. NAVI looked okay. So let's talk about NAVI for a second because we talked about FaZe.
What's their stock price at?
Not public. So NAVI was a very good team this event.
Yep. NAVI just are a very good team. I'm kind of delusionally think they're still better than FaZe.
So here's my thing with NAVI. I actually think I agree with you, but I think not right now. I think they're better than FaZe in a month after the player break because, or maybe a month after the player break, because we just had 2 major moves, right? We moved Boomich off the team. We brought Electronic into the IGL role where he looks at home, right? And we brought in Sum Dayoung. That's major moves, and they made a best of 5 grand final and competed the entire goddamn way.
What I will say about Electronic as IGL is 99% of the time he looks fine, but I think he just didn't quite have the bottle at the end. I was saying to anyone around me who would listen, when it was like 13-13 on Nuke, I was like, Carrigan is going to rush A whenever he... like. Most important round of the game, Carrigan is calling an A rush. I promise you. Carrigan loves this A rush on Nuke. His A hits are perfect. They are choreographed perfectly. The flashes are like beautifully timed. Everyone knows what they're clearing. They molly everything. You're in the open. You're full blind. You die. And I genuinely said to Harry, who I sat next to, and a couple of other people, I was like, if I'm Electronic here, it's a really difficult call to make because it's a big fucking moment. You're a new IGL. I'm stacking 4A at the start of the round. I don't care. Carrigan's going to rush A. Yeah. What do you know? Fucking Twist jumps over the silo into main. 3 people come out A. They crunch A. There's not enough people there to hold it. And I said, if you have 4A there, You might hold that. And I think that's something that only a seasoned elite IGL would like know Carrigan's going to do. Well, I guess I knew,
Yeah.
so it's not you. It doesn't take an elite IGL, but actually having the balls to call it is a very different matter.
But again, I think giving Electronic and Sumdayum time to integrate into their new roles or new team, I think that FaZe will just literally be better. Here's the thing. I think that Sumdayung is an upgrade over Boomich. And I think that while Electronic, just pure skill wise, not talking IGL versus not IGL, I think Sumdayung is an upgrade over Boomich. And I think that Electronic is a downgrade from Boomich, but the question is how much is it going to be, and will the Sumdayung upgrade counteract it enough?
I'm
If any of that made
not
sense.
sure I agree. I think Someday Young is a perfect player for this team because you don't need your fifth player to do anything. Like, you
Yeah.
just need them to not screw up very often, which is what Someday Young does. He doesn't screw up. Like he gets the essential frags. He rarely puts the cherries on top. That's just what he's just a reliable player. It's all they need. But I think Boomich, skill wise as a player, had higher highs, possibly lower lows. He was less consistent, but I'm not sure he was necessarily a worse player than Sunday Young. Whereas I'm not sure there's even a drop off in IGL ability from Boomich to Electronic. I feel like it almost doesn't matter when you have Blade as a coach anyway, because he's just such a fucking giga brain chad.
Okay. I want to talk about the rest of the playoff teams. We'll go from third down to sixth ish. Movistar Riders.
So I was doing my Dragonite.
They were really good. Like
They are really good, even though
they're
they have
really
no
good.
firepower whatsoever. The fact that Deaths is able to 30 bomb is just proof that Liquid should not have been in the playoffs. I'm sorry. Watching Deaths kind of just gives me hives. It's really difficult to watch. You just can't aim. I spoke to Spanish journalist who was like, "Oh no, like Deaths has the best aim in Spain. Like all of his problems are in his head." And I think I said verbatim, "No, I agree that he's stupid, but I also think he can't aim." Um,
Um.
and
Okay.
I don't know. I do not understand this team. Like Mopaz is just a nut job. I love him. Like he just runs around shooting people. He doesn't seem to have any inhibitions. And obviously, we all know how good Sun Pius is, or Sun Pius, I believe it is. And it's like it's just the rest of them are just kind of like there, and they don't really have anything that stands out about them. And
You know
yet,
what
this
this
team's great.
team? You know what this team feels like? It feels like big, but like 3 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
Except
current big. Not current big.
yeah, where it's like one guy who just hard carries, that being Tabson. Now it's Sampeus. And then
Yeah.
everyone else just kind of feels like also around. They kind of just feel like regens, but they just don't
Yeah.
make mistakes. Their team play is really tight, and they just somehow grind out wins that on
I mean,
paper that you wouldn't think they would make.
to be fair, that's actually kind of the blueprint for most like national teams.
Yeah,
The blueprint for like if you are actually Brazilians are wrong for this. If you're if you're a German team, if you're a Spanish team, let's say if you're a Portuguese team, right? That you're not going to have the greatest firepower in the world, but your team play is going to be absolutely on point, and there's going to be nothing stopping you, right?
yeah,
And that's the non-international teams. That's kind of what we see in them anyway. Which I think is cool that we continue to see them.
yeah. I
Most
think was
riders.
it was it Zonic who said like for an international team to make up for the communication, you have to get more firepower. Believe that was
Yeah.
Zonic who said that
Yep.
about Vitality, which
He
we'll
did.
get to in a minute.
Yeah. Astralis, still frauds.
I just can't watch Blame F play. Like it makes me so unbelievably angry watching Blame F play. I cannot put into words how infuriating he is to watch.
Yeah, like they jumped 12 rank. They jumped 6 or 7 ranks after their Cologne playoff appearance, right? I don't believe they should have jumped any.
I mean, like,
Maybe a little, maybe
they
one
beat
or
some
two,
half
but
decent
like,
teams. Like that's the thing, right? Blame F and the way they play around Blame F means they will always beat bad teams because Blame F is just better than bad players. But I don't see how you can beat a good team playing like this. I just don't see it. I don't ever see how Blame F hiding on the other side of the map until there's 15 seconds to go is going to beat NAVI. I mean, so many times we saw um, like Blame F's teammates just getting killed, and then or like him trying to backstab and Simple's just watching it with an AWP because he's Simple and he knows what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Or three of his teammates run in and die, and then you just have to watch him like holding an angle for 45 seconds. I don't understand how this is ever going to work unless he also has the best players in the world on the other side of the map. But he just
And he
takes so
won't.
many resources to
Um,
have so many low impact frags. And the way he hunts ecos is fucking shameless. It is shameless. He only entries when he thinks they are on pistols. It's now that I've said that to you, watch it, right? Next time he thinks there's pistols, watch him play. It's incredible. There was one round actually against, I think it was against NAVI, where he actually entry fragged on a rifle v rifle round, and I was like, imagine how good he could be if he actually decided to play the game instead of playing instead of like thinking he's playing Astra or something. It really annoys me.
yeah. So, okay. So we haven't really been talking about moves for any of these teams over the break. But we'll start talking about it. To be fair, I don't think any of the teams we've talked about are planning on making moves.
Well, Astralis said, I think Trey said, "Oh, we're not going to make any moves," and it's like, well, you also said that about Lucky, and you said Yugi was part of a 7-man roster.
I don't believe anything that comes out of the Astralis organization. What I do believe is that Farley was okay at this event at best. And that there happens to be this Danish hopper sitting on the sidelines at some Swedish team
that's not happening. The NIP just won't sell him. There's just no way. Unless Astralis want to give them their money back and then some, NIP won't sell him. Device wants to go and Astralis want him, but they're gonna have to cough up a shit ton of money if they want to sign him.
All right, let's talk about the number 5 team. Obviously there was no 3rd and 4th place team. There was 3rd, 4th, and 5, 6. But let's be real. There was a 5th place team. There's a 6th place team. Mouse Sports was the 5th place team. Dorsey is a very good player.
Mouse seem to have finally found some sort of rhythm.
It only took them bringing up 90% of their academy roster.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of what we wanted to see. It was a case of could Dexter actually get them firing? And he sort of has. I mean, I think they would have beaten Astralis if BMAS hadn't shit the bed. I like BMAS. I've never seen BMAS. Usually, when BMAS is playing badly, it's because his brain. I don't think he's a particularly cerebral player at this level. Mm-hmm. But he has great hands. But I've never seen his hands actually let him down as much as they did in that quarterfinal. I don't know if it was nerves. I mean, I presume it was.
I mean, this is the first big stage event for every single person there, except for maybe Dexter. And realistically,
Frozen's played in big stages. He won Pro League with them.
Yeah.
Frozen's been there for a while. He's played on stages before.
But for most of them, right, this is the first big stage event. The only other thing that they've had would be We Play, which didn't have a crowd.
Yeah, I'm wondering if BMAS maybe played in front of a crowd on FaZe, but either way, I think he came through during COVID, right? So
yeah, they were in COVID for all of that.
Yeah, so I think it was just nerves for him. His hands actually let him down, which doesn't happen very often. I think Dexter actually called a pretty good game. Against Astralis, he realized where the weakness was, which was he literally just kept running at Zipix, and it worked. I see that's good calling. If you spot a weakness and you exploit it over and over again, that's how you win T-side rounds. He called a really good T-side on Mirage, and I just think it was a close game, and BMAS had single figure kills on 2 maps. I think most times they would they play like that, they win that game, and then they're semi-finalists at Cologne. I think I wouldn't mind if I was a Mouse fan seeing Dexter stay for a little bit, having seen this event, because it seems like maybe they finally found some sort of rhythm.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the definitive sixth place team, Team Lulquid.
I mean,
Here's the thing. There are some good things that we can say from this event. OC is the real deal. If you previously did not think that OC was going to be a good opper, I'd say at this point you'd be wrong.
I feel like the real deal is quite over. That's overstating it a little bit. He's a good player. I wouldn't argue that he's a good player, but
Okay,
the real deal,
I could get behind. He is a good player.
he was like, I think if you said Sun Payas is the real deal, that would be fair. Sun Payas was better than OC at this event, without a shadow of a doubt.
Okay. I think that Yakindar fits this roster. I think that Elige had one of his best tournaments in a long time.
Yep.
I think that is where the positives stop.
Nitro is rubbish. Like, he's just horrible. Every gunfight he's in just looks so unclean. He doesn't seem to aim at the head anymore. He just sort of...
He's a Valorant player.
Yeah, but Valorant, you have to aim at the head because you can't spray. I don't know. Nitro is a problem on this team. The fact that Yakindar has come in and they've been like, oh yeah, no, he's taught us actually how to play the game. So Nitro was behind the meta as an IGL. Is relying on Yakindar to secondary call. I mean, not entirely unusual, but Yakindar, I think Elijah said in multiple interviews that we had to scrap everything we were doing.
Yeah.
So Nitro is not fragging. His IGLing is behind the meta, and Yakindar has basically just come in and changed most of their style. What does he bring to this team?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. But if you'd like to see more Nitro content, you can go check out our Instagram or wherever it is.
Weirdly, I didn't say that to his face.
Yeah, because our good friend Naps interviewed Nitro at Cologne. He also interviewed Rain. I don't know if that's out yet or if it's... I don't know where that is, but be prepared for that, I guess, or go look for it. It's either on Instagram or something.
I was very surprised by how short Nitro was. I don't know why. In my head, I thought he was quite tall.
No, he's not.
Everyone on Liquid is really short.
Yeah.
The tallest is like Elige. He's like 5'7".
Yeah.
It's really strange.
No, Nap's like 6'2" or something like that.
No, he is not. No, he isn't.
I could have sworn he was.
No, he's not tall.
Oh my. Okay.
They're all tiny. Like, Yakindar is quite short and he just doesn't look it in that team. I'm like, have I been tricked or...
All right, that's the big Cologne conversations we wanted to have. The secondary set of conversations is all of the roster moves that have already happened because we've been in break for 3 days. So let's start with the big ones. Actually, we'll start small. We'll go big. We'll go chronological order. Dexter has officially been transferred to OG. I think we talked about this at one point, that we thought this was a good fit, and OG seemed to like Dexter, and Mad2 is now free.
Yeah. Mad2 is, in my eyes, based on no information, just obviously complexity bound. Speaks perfect English.
I mean, he could be EG bound.
Sure, I like. It seems pretty obvious.
He's NA bound.
He's got like complexity. Are desperate for an AWPer. He's a big upgrade. He likes money, probably. I mean, who doesn't?
He likes money.
He
probably
speaks perfect English. Just makes sense to me. Like, there are a few other places I can see Mad2. Like, it just seems to make too much sense. Like, surely he's going there.
The rest of the moves are way more fun though. So we'll talk about G2. These happened the second and the fourth thing, but we'll talk about them together, which is Alexi B has been allowed to explore options outside of G2,
Yeah.
which we talked about last week on the fact of like G2 has a problem where if you switch literally any of the players, there's about a million dominoes to go through. And guess what? They also are saying that Jax is
Yeah.
free to explore his options outside G2. So that would leave that the G2 core being Nico, Hunter, and Monesi. And so yeah,
They're just looking for cannon fodder for those two, those
yeah.
three now. Like, I don't really see how changing Jax improves anything, but I'm willing to be. Well, I'm not really willing to be proven wrong. I'd prefer not to be proven wrong, to be honest. No, I don't really see how changing Jax makes any difference.
I would
Changing
say it's just
Alexi could make difference, but again, like I I'm not sure how much any of these players are going to listen to their in-game leader,
yeah.
especially Nico and Hunter. Like,
So
I don't think it matters who the IGL is. I think Nico might just IGL because I don't know who else they can sign.
So there's rumors. They are highly unsubstantiated.
Regon, right?
That Regon will replace Alexi and that Nika will become IGL. Which, if you thought that was a bad idea, may I refer you to FaZe
Yeah,
when Nico IGL'd for like 3 months,
and it got
and it
worse.
was
Yeah, I
the
agree.
worst
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah.
Um. Yeah.
I don't know.
We talked a lot about G2's personnel issues last week in the podcast. If you want like a longer version of that and didn't hear that, go listen to that because we
We're
talked
in
like 20 minutes on that.
we're in stage 3 of the Nico cycle. Just Nico signs for a new team. Nico does really well under an IGL. They lose a game. I guess this would be stage 4 that we're at. He kicks the IGL for some reason, because and then he just takes over IGLing roles, just loses, and then he goes back to a new team under a new IGL, plays well again. They lose a game, he loses faith, kicks them. Like he just seems to do this all over again. So like, I don't know. Yeah, let him IGL, see what happens. Might as well.
The more interesting thing, though, the more interesting moves, I think, is the rumored Vitality moves.
Yeah, I don't like this at all. I actually don't. I think so. The rumor is it's minus Masuta plus Spinks, which I kind of get, but also
Please stop. Please don't. Please keep it together.
what's What's wrong with what did Masuta do wrong?
Yeah.
Masuta was a good player. They brought in players to take his roles, relegated him to worse roles. The team got worse, and they're like, "Oh, Masuta must be the problem." So,
Yeah.
what?
Just
It's not his fault.
so giving us a slight amount of hope. In the article, which was broken by Nell, he does say they are exploring other options because the transfer from Ents may prove difficult.
Yeah.
If I am Ents, I will not let Sphinx go for any amount of money right now.
Oh no, there is definitely an amount of money I would sell him for.
There's
Absolutely.
an amount of money, but
I would sell him if somebody offered like 800 to a mil, 800k to a mil. I don't think his stock's ever getting higher, and I don't think Ents have lots of money. You have to remember that they plucked Spinks out of like almost nowhere. They plucked Deher from almost obscurity. That Madden was a cheap signing. Like they must trust the fact that they can do this again.
well, they trust Snappy because Snappy got them
Yeah.
Sphinx.
Like that they have to trust in their scouting because they've consistently found gems. So
Just get Esperanto, just more ex-contact players.
I think Boros might make more sense, but the point is that if you can sell him and replace him for cheaper, that's obviously good. I think it kind of makes sense for Ent to sell him. I don't really know how this team's going to work with Spinks in it. Ent is built around Spinks, and Vitality will not be built around Spinks.
No. I think Sphinx will be worse on Vitality, like a decent degree, and they're going to be really upset, and they're going to ruin Sphinx's career, and that's what I'm afraid of.
I don't understand why Apex is going to remain in this team. You have a
Nope.
guy who the coach trained to IGL in the past. You have an entry fragger already. Okay, I do understand why Apex is on this team, but I don't think he should be. The reason he's on it is because nobody else will put their ego aside and play the bitch roles. You can only replace Apex if you're going to sign, I don't know, like fucking Danish Nico and have them just do
Or
the things that nobody else wants to do.
I
But
mean, the person that I came up with that I don't hate is Alexi B.
yeah,
I don't like it,
I
but I don't
guess
hate it.
Apex to Alexi B. I mean, it's kind of like a side grade. It's like fine.
It's a side grade, but if you hate the way that Apex calls, maybe you'll like the way Alexi calls better. But
I
again, they should just have Magisk call.
they should have Magis call and play bitch roles, but try convincing a guy who's won an major MVP that he should play the bitch roles. It's quite difficult.
But
That's kind
you
of
know
a
what?
problem.
You know what? Plus Jax.
I mean, they could do worse.
This
I
is because
think
he'll play bitch roles because this is Mega Brain time.
the problem is they have like a lot of egos, and somebody's got to put their ego aside and play the bitch role. And that was Masuta, and he's being kicked for it. Masuta wasn't exactly, he doesn't have first choice on spots on this team.
He
Like,
has last choice.
I don't think he was a pure support player, but he certainly wasn't he wasn't taking the roles that he would want. I really think he'll drop down to like Heat or Falcons, and I think he'll smash it. I think he'll destroy like tier 2 because he's a
Yep.
genuinely good player. I really think Masuta
Hold
is
up.
genuinely good.
Wait, the Heat roster now. So Jax came out when he was at the last major. He was asked what was the future looked like.
Yeah.
And he said Heat, right? And I'm not gonna worry about the bit that's like in between that's like, oh, did he know he's getting kicked from G2 or some shit? Let's talk about this, right? If Heat take 2 players off this team and add Masuda and Jax, this team I'd be willing to say is a top 15 team.
I think they need to only add one. Like, you don't want to change too much because the team's already pretty good. I would just add Masuta to either Heat or Falcons. Falcons have more money, so they're probably more likely to be able to buy them.
Either way, French Counter-Strike is actually just getting a like shot of adrenaline from other teams not giving a shit.
Yeah, so like Vitality and G2 moving away from France is obviously bad for French Counter-Strike, but it does improve the sort of regional French teams who are already pretty good. Like,
really
Falcons
good.
are pretty good. Heat are really good. Like, these teams are already close to being top tier. I think if Masuta joins Heat, that team's scary. I really do. Like, I think Masuta is really good.
Masuda could join Falcons and have a reunion with Kyojin. It's genius.
Yeah. The fact that Kyojin looks like okay on Falcons is, it's quite damning for Vitality's sort of scouting of him.
Yeah.
Where they thought he was going to be the next RPK. I can only assume they saw him and was like, oh, this guy's bad. Like, he'll be a good support player.
You know what? That's what Vitality need to do. They just need to bring RPK back out of retirement.
Yeah.
We just need to unretire RPK for the second time. That's all it is.
Yeah, they need to pull Skulls in, bring him on. Like, it's a 40-year-old man to just stand in the middle and spray passes around.
Would they be worse? I don't know.
Yes, they would. If they signed a 33-year-old RPK who hasn't touched the game in 3 years, yes, they would be worse. Say what you want about Apex, Masuta, Dupree. They are better than a retired RPK. I'm willing to go on record and state that.
We've seen this once before. RPK came back and was very good.
Yes.
I don't know.
That was when he wasn't, like, properly
retired.
Gone, yeah. Like,
yeah.
We need to give up on RPK. It's 2022.
We'll never give up on RPK, but that's okay. I think that's it. We are at a we're at a time of waiting now.
Yeah, it's the player break.
We're a whole 3 days into player break.
I'm already lost. I
There
don't know what to
haven't
do.
been many moves other than everyone deciding that they're kicking everybody. And that's kind of where we're at. Schedule for the next couple weeks. We may have a podcast next week. We're waiting on some confirmations from people. We have an episode next week. If not, we will be back, I think, on the 3rd and then the 17th, or the 10th and then the 24th. We'll be back once before Blast. We'll be back the week of Blast, and we'll be back once at least in between now and Blast.
Not
But we're
complicated
also,
at all.
yeah, we're also going to go on break during player break. So if there's any breaking news, anything like super huge, we'll do a show in the middle, or we'll just decide to do like 5 minutes of like this happened kind of vibe stuff. So we will see you again in the coming weeks. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Logan Ramhap, at Aizyesque, and at RetailDR. You'll find us again. Well, I just said it in like 3 weeks or whatever.
What he said, basically.